Hey Oregon. I want to start with the audio that I'm putting on this channel comes from the state archives. You can go to their website and type in Senate Bill 124, 1985, and all the audio that I'm putting up, that's where it's coming from. Today, I'm going to go over 2 of the recordings, so this will kind of be a little bit longer. And my focus was originally, and still is, on Senate Bill 124, but I am going to talk about, in this video, also Senate Bill 118. So I'm going to hit play, and the way that the audio is, it's kind of cut up. It's kind of not in order. So like in the middle of this particular recording, and this is both of these recordings will come from May 14th, 1985, and it'll be tape number 159 and tape number 160. So this is tape number 159. And for whatever reason, the beginning of the day, like the beginning of the audio, starts in the middle. So I'm in the middle. I've got it on my laptop here. I'm in the middle. I'm gonna hit play. And I don't plan on listening to all of this. So if you want to hear all of it in its entirety, you can wait for me to put the raw audio up, which I'll probably do this one and 160. If I can't get it today, I'll probably get it up tomorrow. So I'm going to jump around. So if you want to listen to it without me talking, then feel free to wait for my video or go get it from the state archives yourselves. So I'm gonna start in the middle so that you can hear this is the beginning.
House Transportation Committee, May 14th. Work session on Senate Bill 104, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 117, 118, 120, 122, 124, 125, 128, 131, 133, 208, 209, and 211.
Order. We have a work session today on 20 bills that have gone through the Joint Subcommittee on Motor Vehicle Code Revision process. And for anybody in the audience that's not familiar with that, we've had a joint committee of both the Senate and the House that has been meeting separately, looking at all the Motor Vehicle Code Revision bills. And then after that, they make recommendations to the full committees. All of these bills have already gone through the Senate, and now they're on the House side. And our purpose today is a work session. All of the public hearings have already been held, and so we will, aside from merely having people here to respond to questions that the committee members might have, we'll basically be dealing with recommendations from the subcommittee. I might note that it's a rather ambitious schedule. We do have a 10 o'clock session, and what we don't get through today that's on this calendar, we will be carrying over till Thursday. But I'm hoping that we'll get through all of them today. And it's up to the committee members. So, why don't we start with Senate Bill 104? Claudia.
Senate Bill 104, Madam Chair, members of the committee, makes an offense for altering or modifying registration plates. Some people repaint their registration plates to match their vehicle, or in some cases intentionally obscure.
So you can hear they've got 20 bills to go through. This they called this the whale. This is from House Bill 2031, 1983. That's they're revising 7 chapters, and they have a lot of work to do. And you can hear that they've got a big task. That it's so big. They had a subcommittee go over this stuff. Now it's in the House. It's already been through the Senate.
The plate to avoid identification. SB 104A engrossed creates a Class B traffic infraction for the offense of altering a registration plate. The bill specifically prohibits altering, modifying, covering, or obscuring a plate by changing the color, configuration, numbers, and letters. Bill Seeley from the Motor Vehicles Division has today 2 examples of plates that are modified and altered in the way that they would like to have prohibited. If you'd like to ask him to show those.
Sure, let's see.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Bill Seeley with Motor Vehicles Division. This one's a fairly common occurrence, or becoming more common, to buy the custom frames for the vehicle. A clear piece of plastic comes with the frame when you buy it at the store, but it's easy to put a smoky or blue or red covering over it. Makes the car look very snazzy, but does obscure reading the registration plate. Some glares off it. Changes the color of the plate, and in some cases, depending on the color chosen. And just in general makes the registration plate difficult to read, including the expiration, to see whether it's a current plate or not. This plate has been altered. One of the characters has been changed to another character, and specifically under the law now, it's not illegal to do that. I imagine it could be cited for not displaying proper registration plates or for...
Yeah, same thing. Oh, yeah, I see.
But taking a plate and making an alteration to it like this is not citable under the law right now. There are other, as Claudia brought up, other occurrences of...
Did you, excuse me, Madam Chair,
Representative.
did you alter those, or were they altered and they were picked up by someone?
Madam Chair, Representative Roberts, we altered these.
But you altered them understanding that this is what is done by folks out there in the street.
Yes, Representative Roberts, these are occurrences that we've had experiences with.
That, I guess, is my, yeah, thank you.
Gosh, he's doing something illegal, wasn't he, in our vehicle? We ought to take him to task for that.
They're talking about people doing something illegal, and we ought to take them to task for that. They're talking about the people doing something illegal, and that they should do something about that. But the Motor Vehicles Division admits to doing something illegal, and they laugh about it.
Oh, no. What is it not
on your example there, without the color coding over the plate, is that frame illegal?
Madam Chair, Representative Harper, is this frame illegal? No.
Says it is in the bill.
Representative Harper, would you read that section of the...
Any material covering placed on, over, and front of the plate that alters the appearance of plate in any manner.
Any frame or plate holder.
Well, but then continue that says that alters the appearance of the plate in any manner. If you were to just have that frame, you're not really altering the appearance of the plate, are you?
You would? How about you hold that other plate up, will you, Bill? And the other one, too. Now, what's the difference in those two frames, other than the color change?
That you're taking around the little blue circle.
You know, there's a frame around it. The one
That's wrong.
folks, in the subcommittee hearing, two of the representatives argued against this bill. Not that alteration in a deliberate manner is illegal, but this bill is so broadly written, you can't do anything to a plate without changing or altering.
Bill, what would be in your interpretation and in plain language?
I don't really care about this subject. I'm only listening to it because you learn a lot, and the statutes are supposed to be written with the intent of the legislators while they're discussing it in these things. And you learn a lot and you hear a lot when you listen to this.
Explain to us what the division had in mind when they talked about, well, it wasn't the division, but the committee, when they talked about any material covering or covering placed on over the plate. Would be lines 16 and 17 of the bill.
Well, Madam Chair, our intentions behind this were to attack this kind of thing, or sandblasting the plate and changing the color, which is also something that's commonly done, especially with the different car clubs, or restoring old ones and substantially making it different from an Oregon plate, or in this case, and actually change it, or perhaps criminal reasons.
Criminal reasons.
That was our intention behind it, and Representative Harper is correct. We did have a lot of discussions in subcommittee about this. I believe that was before you joined the subcommittee, Madam Chair, and we agreed that it was written too strictly, which was the reason for the amendments, because it did get into the border around the plate, and we're not concerned with that as long as it doesn't obscure the identification of the plate, either the configuration or in any identifying stickers that are put on there to validate the plate for registration.
I see. Okay, so in looking at the amendments, then the part about any frame or plate holder that obscures the numbers was added to clarify the fact that what Representative Harper's concern was.
That's correct. That's
right?
why that was added.
Representative Harper.
That's just one of my concerns. It's my opinion that if you want to strictly enforce this law, and if your car set out in the sunshine and the color will fade, you be guilty of an overrated plate.
Any other discussion? Representative Dancer, you were on the subcommittee at that time too. Did you have anything to add? I know that this is your favorite bill, just short of snow park permits.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair, I move we table Senate Bill 104.
Okay, Representative Harper moves that we table Senate Bill 104. That's a non-debatable motion. Janet, you better call the roll.
It's a non-debatable motion. I'm playing this for educational purposes too. One of the senators is moving to table the bill. In other words, it can't proceed. And then it's a non-negotiable motion. So now they're going to vote, and it's either yay or nay, aye or nay, if it's going to pass or not. And this stuff, it gets a lot more interesting. A lot more interesting.
Representative Roberts.
No.
Representative Hayden.
Aye.
Representative Whitty.
No.
Representative Danzer.
aye.
Representative Najati.
Aye.
Representative Harper.
Aye.
Representative Lindquist.
No. Motion fails.
It passed.
Did it? I lost my count along the way.
You and I, we three were no's, and the rest of them were yeses.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Madam Chair.
We had tabled the bill.
I'm sorry, I lost my count along the way.
It's all right, I'll count for you.
Okay, motion passes. We will move on then.
So they're going to table it and move on.
Is it appropriate or possible to make a comment in terms of vote explanation?
Sure.
I feel a little bit like I've just killed my baby because we worked so put so many hours in on it that so I feel in some trepidation of voting to table it, but I think that overall that there were so many concerns, and I share many of the concerns that Representative Harper has expressed.
Well, I think we could amend that part out that bothered him. I think that altering those license plates is a very important thing to address, and we just failed to do that today.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Representative.
if I may, as I recall, within the last few days, we heard a bill in this committee where the auto clubs were seeking special recognition so that they could use plates that reflected the vintage of the automobile. And evidently, according to the testimony I heard today, one of the primary changes in the plates is by auto clubs who are repainting the plates to reflect the vintage of the automobile.
No. Maintain a vintage plate. Right?
Well, we have that's another bill that we'll be discussing.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Representative Roberts.
I'd like to know why all these bills are stuck under we sit on there. Did you put them there?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Not our committee, there's some of the committee.
Why don't we move on to Senate Bill 107?
that deal with hazardous waste.
Claudia.
Yes, Madam Chair.
I can't tell you that. I'm getting this stuff.
I need to pull my list here.
You all have received, with your talk of earlier, you all received memos about each bill. If you're needing any clarification on things.
Madam Chairman.
There's a cat in here, and he's talking and jumping, and he's got a little bell on his collar.
Members of the committee, SB 107 makes some minor changes in the law. Certain provisions in the law are outdated given present technology. This has to do with title documents that Motor Vehicles Division issues. Senate Bill 107 makes those changes in administrative activities related to registration and to titling. Most changes reconcile statutes with current administrative practice. The changes deal with requirements on title and registration forms, registration periods, and fees. There are no fee changes. Special registrations and registration identia and numbers. And I supplied for you action analysis. This is one of those bills that some people like to call housekeeping. If you would like me to go through it in detail, I'll be happy to. Or if you have any questions of the Motor Vehicles Division, Joanne Peterson is here to answer your questions.
Madam Chair,
Representative Roberts.
if John Peterson would come up here, I'd like to just have him say what the bill does, and we can get on with it if it's housekeeping.
Madam Chair, Representative Roberts. For the record, my name is Joanne Peterson of the Motor Vehicles Division. The bill actually does several different things. For example, in Section 1, current statute requires a seal to be obtained and affixed to title certificates. It's very archaic language dating back to the days when the division actually had a hand seal that they placed on every certificate of title, and that's being removed. There's
Madam Chair,
Representative Roberts.
you say you no longer want to use a seal?
Madam Chair, Representative Roberts, we pre-print the state seal on the title forms.
I see.
This language would imply that we actually are using like a notary seal or the old state seal and hand stamping every title.
Cleans the language up and, okay.
Correct. Other areas, like in Section 2, removes the term affidavit and allows a statement to be filed with the division when a person is transferring plates. The term affidavit basically requires a notary, and we don't require those statements to be notarized, so we're removing that. There's language in there that on page 3 that will allow us to adjust registration periods and fees when license types or registration type changes during the license period. For example, a pickup truck might be registered on an annual basis with truck plates because its weight is over 8,000 pounds. A new owner buys it, and maybe they're operating at a lesser weight, and they're changing the registration. And we've historically, adjusted those registration fees and changed those, but there's no statutory authority in current law for it.
No statutory authority in current law. They just keep on keeping on.
Another section of the law removes a separate fee for motorcycles with sidecars. There are only approximately 221 three-wheel motorcycles in the state of Oregon, and only a small percentage of them actually have a sidecar. And that section is being changed. Section 5 on pages 6 and 7 address the renewal reminder notice. This is consistent with changes that were made in the driver's license area as well. Current law indicates that the notice shall be mailed within 90 days, which technically could mean it could be mailed within 1 day, and the changes require a reasonable notice in that area. Change in section 6 on page 7 brings the information required on the registration card consistent with the application requirements, and actually requires the residence or business address. Current law just requires a post office box, even though we have to obtain the residence or business address on the application. And then on section 9 of the bill, talks about replacement vehicle identification numbers. And the current language provides for the replacement of VIN numbers assigned by the division, wherein in fact most cases it's VIN numbers assigned by the manufacturer that have been removed or missing. And on line 23, page 8, the term by the division is being deleted. And then on line 33, where it talks about a person committing an offense if they fail to obtain a vehicle identification number, the words "and affix" are being removed because the person does not affix the VIN to the vehicle. The division does, or the state police.
Madam Chair,
Representative.
what's a reasonable amount of time? As in page 7, the notice shall be mailed at a reasonable time. And what would you consider reasonable? 30 days?
Madam Chair, Representative Roberts, we generally mail the renewal notices in the Portland area where the vehicles have to go through the inspection program for emission approximately 90 days prior to expiration. Most of the other renewals in the state are mailed approximately 45 days.
You want a motion?
Is there any other discussion? Representative Parker.
Was Representative Roberts' question about the line 2 on page 7?
That's what it was.
Yeah, the reasonable time for mailing notices. I just want a definition of reasonable. Before it was a fixed in time at 90 days. Now we're talking about reasonable. And I just want to know what kind of rule they use. That's a very broad statement. Reasonable.
Again, it's another subject I really don't care about, but it's interesting. He says he wants a definition on reasonable. It's a very broad statement because they need to be specific. This needs to be clear and precise and on point.
I raised the same question during the subcommittee hearing. We never received an answer. But I wonder what would happen if down on line 11 we would say, however, the court shall dismiss the charges and register court appearance.
I know it's kind of hard to hear, but he says, what would happen if we put down on line 11 that the court shall dismiss?
If we were to what, Representative Herbert?
Change may to shall
Change.
on line 11.
On what page?
Change the word may to shall. The court shall dismiss.
Page 7,
Page 7,
line
line
11.
11.
Joanne, did you want to respond to that?
Madam Chair, I believe if you change that to shall, it would basically allow anybody to drive an expired registration, knowing that if they got caught, they'd always be able to get out of it by simply appearing in court with renewing their registration.
It would seem that by having may, it doesn't preclude the court from dismissing the charge, but it doesn't force them to.
They generally do. You got a good story.
Any further discussion?
I'm a push issue, Madam Chair. I'm a little uncomfortable, and always have been, with the reasonable time. What's reasonable to man might not be reasonable to me, and with the unreliability of the mails these days, you might be caught with a late registration, even though everyone had good intentions. So, but
That's a federal
it's
issue.
a minor thing. I'm not.
Okay, does anybody
We have a
want to
motion on
make
the
a motion?
motion's already been made.
No, okay. Representative Roberts moved that we send Senate Bill 107 to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Any objection? So ordered. Okay, let's move on to Senate Bill 108. Thank you, Joey. What?
Senate Bill
Madam Chair,
108.
Senate Bill 108. And I'll just read my staff major analysis. Remove some unnecessary and archaic language in the law. If you look at the bill, you'll notice that lines 10 through 16 make a reference to the 1953 edition of the Oregon Revised Statutes. That provision basically required that all the laws relating to insurance and financial responsibility in 1953 would be carried through from the current law into the ORS. 1953 was when the Oregon Revised Statutes were created. This was enabling legislation to make sure that there is follow-through. You may notice that there's similar wording in the new revision of the code. This is no longer necessary, and Attorney General's office recommended that it be deleted, and that's what is done in Section 1. Section 2 deletes the provision that says that a city department has to file an accident report. They generally simply file a copy of the report that they obtain, or that I should say that they require the driver to file a copy of the report that's filed with DMV rather than just a report.
The driver. It's really important that you understand driver, which there is no Oregon Revised Statute for the definition of driver. However, it was recommended that they do provide a definition for Oregon for a statute to define driver. It was recommended by a guy named Jack Solis, who worked for the Attorney General's office. He recommended it in 1984, but I'll get into that in another video.
I think I'm reading it quickly. It's been a while since I've looked at these. Section 3 deletes language that now says that examining people who do the examining for driving tests are appointed by the division. They simply hire them under their normal broad hiring authority, and there's really no reason for this language anymore in the law. It is old language.
I thought maybe we were changing the fact that they had to be competent.
We hope they're okay. The final one simply changes the term department to division, and that's because the Motor Vehicles Division is no longer a department, it is a division. And that's all Senate Bill 108 does.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I remember no adverse comments about this bill in subcommittee. I move we send it to the floor.
Representative Harper moves that we send Senate Bill 108, A engrossed, to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? So ordered. Representative Harper, would you carry that one? Would you mind? What does it do? Read your staff and help.
Notice how they ask, will you carry that to the floor? Will you carry that? That'll come up later.
That's why you don't remember anything about the bill.
It's funny. A lot of this is funny too.
Listen, with 20 bills, we're really going to have to share the load here. We're also going to have to split it up, or we'll put the whole floor to sleep.
Can we take it as a package?
Wouldn't that be nice?
They have such a big workload, and this is such a big job, and they're pushing them through.
Yes. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill 109 addresses a couple of problems. This one is, in fact, not a motor vehicles division bill.
Yeah, this is a highway division
bill.
bill.
A little variation here.
Let's
certain language in
skip.
present law relating to
I'm gonna jump.
heading toward uniformity, I suppose, would be the way to put it.
Thank you, Claudia. Are there any questions?
I move that Senate Bill 109 goes to the floor with a due pass recommendation. I think this is way overdue.
Okay, Representative Brigatti moves A engrossed Senate Bill 109 to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion?
No, I was going to say we didn't need his ad lib, but that's all right.
Any objection to the motion? So ordered. Representative Brigatti, would you like to carry?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'll weigh my way through that one.
Okay. Senate Bill 110.
Now we're on 110.
Senate Bill 110, Madam Chair, members of the committee, is another one of those bills that doesn't do very much, but it's awfully hard to explain.
110. It doesn't do very much, but it's awfully hard to, oftentimes hard to explain, or awfully hard. What'd she say? Now I need to know.
Senate Bill 110, Madam Chair, members of the committee, is another one of those bills that doesn't do very much, but it's awfully hard to explain.
Awfully hard to explain.
Senate Bill.
Nothing like starting off in a negative way.
There's a lot of these that are like
There are a lot of these that are like
Senate Bill 110
this.
is a product of minor substantive changes requested by the Motor Vehicles Division. Oh,
No, we don't
get
get it. No.
Oh, thanks. That's okay. Hold on to it.
Okay.
Senate Bill. Where was I? The bill eliminates archaic terms and processes and clarifies certain language relating to administrative procedures for issuing driver licenses.
Issuing driver's licenses.
The bill simplifies administrative procedures as specified by law and reconciles practice with statutory language. The subcommittee reviewed each change in the 27 sections of the bill and determined that the changes were needed. And they also determined that the changes were minor and would contribute to more efficient administration of the driver license functions of DMV. If you would like, I can go through them with you.
Good Lord.
Glancing quickly to see if there's
It's big.
real highlights on this one.
You can hear some guy in the background say, "Good Lord, it's big. There's a lot."